Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another film review. Tonight we're going to the first film in my prison film week. So we're going to be looking at films about prisons. Tonight we're looking at a horror film about prisons, and it's called Prison. Yeah, this is a film about a prison. Let me tell you a little bit about it, if I can find everything. Yeah, I thought I'd start this week off with a horror one because I love horror films so much. Right, so let's go and have a look at this one then. This is an American film made in 1987. Certification 18, runs for 102 minutes, directed by Rennie Harlin, starring Lane Smith and Viggo Mortensen. Screenplays by Irwin Yablins. Cinematography is by Mac Yarberg, and music is by Richard Band. Yeah, this is a 1980s film, and it's one that I've seen back in the day. I rented this out on VHS when it came out, and I remember quite vaguely I quite enjoyed it. And I bought this film. This is the '88 film version, a year or so ago, and I watched it and I quite enjoyed it, but it was quite long. It's 102 minutes, so I didn't get to the end to it. I know it's bad, isn't it? So I thought, well, I'm doing my prison films this week, three great prison films. So I thought I'd start with this one, and this one starts off at we see like a sort of first person view of our criminal being escorted from his jail cell to the execution room, where he's going to be strapped to this electric chair. So he's walked all the way down these corridors, and he's taken towards this. It's almost like it's almost like a round sort of metal cylinder that the chair is in, and he goes and sits in it, and they execute him. And you see the execution. It's quite brutal and quite gory. So obviously, I'm not going to show you that. And this sort of takes place, and then it cuts to the prison warden having a dream, and sort of looking like he's sort of like killing himself, like going through it himself, almost like he's experiencing the same thing. And then he wakes up to like a phone call, and then when he gets this phone call, it's about a new prison that's going to open. But before we get to that, it cuts to like a prison board where they're having a board meeting, and there's this woman there, and she's discussing because they plan to build a new prison with better facilities for prisoners, so they can be sort of educated, and so when they go back into society, they're a more educated state. But they basically said they haven't got the fundings for that, and so like the governor of the state says, what we're going to do is reopen this old prison that's been shut down in 1968. And of course, she's not happy with this at all. And she's going on about, well, how am I supposed to do this and this? Well, you need to work around it, she was saying. So anyway, then we cut to the old prison, and we see the woman arriving in her car. And she sort of arrives there, and it's all run down. It's like everything is dirty and grimy. It looks like a really old American sort of 1940s, sort of 1920s, 30s sort of prison. Anyway, she arrives and goes in, has a look around, and the prison warden is there. And this is the prison warden from the old prison back at the beginning of the film. The execution took place, and they're having a discussion about the place as they're walking through like the jail part of the actual prison. And she tells them that her plan is to set up sessions and stuff for them to have sort of like educational things and sort of all these sort of facilities for the prison, and the prison guard, the warden, wants to run like an old time prison where they're a bit paying for their crime, where she wants to use it as a rehabilitation prison. So already there's a conflict of sort of interest. And then we cut outside, and these buses are arriving with our prisoners. And sort of all our prisoners get off, apart from two sort of kidnap a bus, and they're driving it around the sort of like the prison square, and then they head towards the door, but unfortunately the door shuts, so they can't escape. So they're driving around like maniacs and stop. And then our prison warden goes over to them and gets them to get out. And he then tells all the prisoners, due to their escapade, they're not allowed any visits or any mail for 6 months. And those two have got to go into solitary confinement for 6 months. So they're taken down to like the cellar part where it's all like water everywhere on the ground, and they put in these metal boxes pretty much and left to it for sort of 6 months. And then we get sort of like quite a bit of time getting to know some of our prisoners as we're seeing them being introduced to our cells, and we see Viggo Mortensen. He's highly recognisable, of course, and he's like a cool dude, and he's helping a few people out and stuff like this, and they're all sort of settling in to the prison. And then it gets to the day where it's like they're getting their work duties, and Viggo Mortensen and some black dude get taken off down to the cellar part, where there's a door that's been sealed off, and they're there with their pickaxes to break through this concreted door. And they ask, well, what's on the other side of the door? He said, it's the old execution area. So they start bashing their way through this door. And eventually they break through, and then a massive blue light comes shining through the doorway. And it's almost like it's some sort of, I don't know, it's a really strange sort of feeling you get from, oh, what have they unleashed? It's like they've unleashed something. So they keep breaking through the door, and then this massive wind comes through, and it starts sort of like, and all the sort of furnaces start bubbling and boiling and stuff like this, and fire comes out of the furnaces, and all the temperature gauges blow up, and all these bizarre things start happening. And it just goes on for about 2 or 3 minutes since they've broken through to this door. And then there's this electrical sort of force that sort of goes around the room and comes out and zooms out and breaks through another door and goes out. So they've released something from this area that's been sealed off. And so they don't know what's going on. But then this something starts attacking the two guys that are in the solitary confinement. It starts heating up the two metal holdings that they're in, so they all becomes red where it's so hot, and these guys are starting to melt and burn and sort of, and it's really quite horrendous, and it's killing these guys off. But Viggo manages to open one of the doors and rescues one of the guys and gets them out. And then sort of like, that's sort of how the film started to play out. So what is this force? Is this a haunted prison? If it is it haunted by the prisoner that was executed there? Or is it the chair itself that's haunted? What's going on there? You need to watch it and find out, because I'm not going to tell you any more about the synopsis of the film. It's a very cool sort of a haunted, supernatural kind of prison film, which is something you don't really get. And what do I think of it? It's awesome. I had a great time rewatching this. Really cool. Yes, it's very 80s in its style. A lot of the visions and cinematography is almost very dreamlike, with a haze over it, almost like Brian De Palma kind of style, where he has a very hazy screen when he films, but then other times it's very clear and very nice. And the story sort of unfolds at a sort of steady pace, because you don't know what sort of, you know that this is going to be something to do with its past, obviously, and the warden is involved with that. So it's something to do what's happened in the past, and it unfolds as the film goes on. Now, the pluses of this remastered edition, it looks great. It looks really cool. Really cool film. The acting is pretty good, to be honest. Most prison films I think, are pretty well acted. And this one is no exception. Really, really cool, really well acted. Some good effects in it, very 80s effects, but there is some gore in there as well, which is really, really cool. Really enjoyed it, and it does keep you wanting to watch it to see what the end is. Negatives, probably it unfolds to, I don't know. No, I'm not going to say anything. Negatives, not really negative. I always try and be positive about films. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time watching it. I'm not going to give it any negatives. I'm going to score it a great watch and score it 8 out of 10. Really cool film, really good. So I really recommend it if you get a chance to see it. Like it says in there, in 1956, Charles Forsyth was sent to the electric chair, and now he's back. So it pretty much tells you what the film's about there, and so that's pretty much what the film's about, and it plays out really cool. I really enjoyed the film. It's not a life-changing film. It's not going to be one, wow, that wowed me. It's just going to be a great fun popcorn horror movie, and it's really, really cool. Prison, 8 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. It is a nice film. It is really cool. I do like films like this. Sometimes when you don't want to have a film where you really got to concentrate on it, this is the sort of films I like to put on 80s sort of popcorn horror movies. Like Friday the 13th, or all these sort of films that don't really need your concentration as such. And sometimes it's just good to sit back and enjoy that and smile and remember the good old days when you used to watch these. So there we go. That's my first review on this Prison Week this week. So we're going to look at 2 more films this week. We're going to be looking at a Clockwork Orange-esque sort of style of film with Tom Hardy in Bronson. We're going to be looking at that, reviewing that. And we're going to be looking at Eric Bana's underrated role as Chopper. So we're going to be looking at that as well this week. So we will review those this week. But I thought I'd start off with a horror one tonight. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.